what I love about IATS is I feel like from my perspective, it functions not just as a high school or a school, but it also takes on the college element of saying, this is your assignment, you need to get it done, and learning how to do time management, learning how to do basic things that college is supposed to prepare you for.
We grow the dreams, let them blossom. We plant the seeds, watch them thrive. In our hands, power's flowing. Build futures, keeping hope alive. We rise with strength in our hearts, pioneers of a brand new start. Building a future and feeding our world. We are Indiana Ag and Tech.
Welcome to Fields and Futures, where agriculture, technology, and education meet to shape tomorrow. This podcast is produced by Indiana Agriculture and Technology School. In each episode, we'll explore the stories of students, alumni, educators, and community members who are building skills, forging partnerships, and making an impact. From agricultural labs to real-world field experiences, we'll show how learning at IATS goes beyond the classroom to open new pathways. Join us as we step into the fields and futures being created right now.
Welcome to Fields and Futures, the podcast from the Indiana Agricultural and Technology School. I'm Keith Marsh, the Executive Director for IATS. Today we have one of our own, James, who graduated from IATS and has already carved out his own dream job in the area of agriculture, started his own videography business, and is back with us to share about his journey. So James, welcome to the program. It's great to have you back. It wasn't too long ago that you were a student here, so we wanted to bring you back and just talk to you about your time at IATS and then what you're doing now. So one of the things I want to ask to start out this program is, how did you and your family decide that IATS was for you and why you wanted to attend our school?
Yeah. So for me, it's kind of an interesting story. So I was, I guess not really, I wasn't born into the farming background, the agriculture side of things. All of my life have grown up on 1/8 of an acre in the tiny town of Chesterfield. And I had never really been exposed to agriculture, but for some weird reason, I always had a love for it. Like since I was 3, and I think it has to do with my papaw, who loves gardening and was a farmer back in Louisiana. And I guess he introduced me to what it was like to be in the garden. And I just loved the environment, everything about it, the growing and everything. It was just such a special experience for me as a young person. And as I went, I just developed, a passion for it. So I remember when I was 9 years old, I went to a big greenhouse called Heartland Growers, and it was a field trip with my co-op, and they said that they were offering jobs to kids that were 15 years old. Mm-hmm. And so I walked out of there that day at 9 years old, and I was like, I already know what I want to be. I want to be a horticulturalist. And I didn't even know how to say the word. I was just like, I think that's how you say it. And but I decided I want to be a horticulturalist. And so from there, it just kind of grew. Fast forward to 11, and I got introduced to the world of apples. And my brother's name is Jonathan. So when I went to the orchard, I saw that he had an apple named after him. Or at least from my perspective, it had been named after him, the Jonathan apple. And so I was like, oh, that's cool. So I wonder if there's a James apple, because I love my name. I'm kind of weird that way, but I love my name. Oh, name. Yeah. And I think I've been blessed with the best name in the world. And so I was like, well, surely there's a James apple out there, right? I look it up, and there's no James apple. And that really bothered me. And I was like, well, how do we fix that? And so I started researching it out, and I learned that the only way to fix that is if somebody created one. Mm-hmm. And I didn't think there was going to be anybody that was going to create one probably. So I said, well, why don't I do it? Because I love agriculture, so get into apples. So started looking it up, learned how to cross-pollinate apples, and learned how to just do some basic stuff. And from there, it started a wild journey of basically going to a local orchard called Tuttle Orchards, and they're a family favorite of ours. And they let us for 2 years cross-pollinate apples and apple varieties on their orchard because we didn't have enough space, and it brought about that opportunity of learning in-depth stuff about agriculture at the age of 11, and that was just from an interest of mine. But when it came to coming to IATS, for me, I'd been homeschooled all my life, and I loved agriculture, but I wasn't sure how to get into it. I didn't know what I knew I wanted to be a horticulturalist, I guess, at this point, but I wasn't sure how to get there, and I wasn't sure if there would be a pathway necessarily to do that right through education. I wanted to set myself up as best as possible. And my dad learned about IATS through working. He was an x-ray tech, and he learned from this lady whose son had just graduated from IATS, I think the first year, he'd learned about IATS, and he was like, "This is incredible. We've got to try and get James into this." And so we called you out, and you came to our house, and you told us about it. And I think our big concern was losing homeschooling, because we love homeschooling and we have a great community and great friends. And but you told us basically, you don't have to lose that. IATS is great because you can do the online education and yet still keep the homeschooling elements and get the APD. So basically it was a both and situation, and it just seemed to be perfect. And so, and sure enough, it was a perfect education stream, and we loved it. We fell in love with it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's an amazing story being 11 years old and having that entrepreneurial mind at that age. So, the whole idea behind the IATS program is that it's very hands-on. It's very adapted to an individualized student and what they're doing. So with that mission in mind and how you see yourself being educated, what were the experiences when you were with IATS, with the hands-on program, that you were able to branch out, create your own identity, and do the things that you're doing? What was it about the hands-on program that allowed you to do that?
Yeah, so I remember when I came into IATS, it was a surreal experience because I'd never seen anything like it. And so I remember one of the first APDs we ever did, we had a group come in that had done drone technology with farming. So basically they were taking drones, putting them up in the air, and they were recording everything about a field that a farmer could ever want to know. The elevation, the soil topography, and all the different things that had to do with a farmer's field that a farmer couldn't get just from the ground, but he could actually get it from the air, have aerial photos. And I think it might have been the first APD I went to, and I was like, that's already a career I want to go into, and I've already wanted to be a horticulturalist. I was like, it's incredible. Yeah. So we just started every single APD I went to, started learning about a different career or a different opportunity in agriculture that I had never heard of before, and learned that, man, there's so much to agriculture that I could do literally anything and, learn it right here because I have the connections and the opportunities to get that experience at IATS. And it was really just an incredible thing.
Yeah. So, and I'm glad you said it, because when we look at how we want students to learn, how did the experience of doing the hands-on piece fit into what you needed to do academically? How did you make that balance? Because our program's designed academically for students to be self-advocates for themselves. So they have to own their education. So how did you make that work for yourself, and how did the IATS teachers support you in that process?
Absolutely. So for me, it was great because I had come from, like I said earlier, the homeschool background. So we were basically doing that ourselves. And so we were having to go through and record what we were learning, how we were learning it, just to meet basic requirements of the state. And we were having to jump through tons of hoops to do that. So when my family and I transitioned over to IATS, it became actually a lot simpler for us because we'd come from already a harder environment to try and record that. So basically, you have the online element where you're learning your basic, Core 40 stuff where you got your math, you got your English, you've got your history and your social studies, all these different courses. And what it did was it kept us on track to be able to be, this is what you need to get done in a day. If you get behind, you just catch it up. And but you do have accountability because you have your SLAs, you have the people that come together and help make sure that you're on track.
Right.
And it just seemed to work really well.
Yeah.
And there are times where you struggle at it. It's not perfect because you are at home and you do have more freedom with your time, and then schoolwork can get kind of lag behind. But what's great is with that SLA help and with the way the school is engineered, they help make sure you get back on track. So they're ready to help you work at catching up. If you have a vacation or a specific field trip or something, they're willing to work with you and say, hey, well, then that's great. And then you just make it up this day and you just keep working. So it really is great for accountability and making sure that you are doing the stuff, making sure you're getting through everything and you get to where you graduate.
Yeah. So, and just to clarify for our audience, when you mention SLA, that's an acronym for Student Learning Advocate, which are people we hire that have that are licensed, Indiana licensed teachers that work with our students regularly. So I like the accountability part of it and actually what it teaches you to be responsible for your own learning. So you were pretty successful with this as a student. So all those things that you learned within IATS, how does it carried over to what you're doing now as a graduate? And then I know you starting your own businesses. What has that transited to?
So it actually was really great preparation. What I love about IATS is I feel like from my perspective, it functions not just as a high school or a school, but it also takes on the college element of saying, this is your assignment, you need to get it done, and learning how to do time management, learning how to do basic things that college is supposed to prepare you for. So like high school, if you're in a regular brick and mortar school, you're going to go from this classroom to this classroom at this time. Your whole day is prepped out for you. But with this school, it's not necessarily that way. And so you have to learn how to manage your time in a way that makes sense and works with, other things that are going on in your life. And so that's one element that it's like it functions as it doubles as a high school, and a college, and so it's like it's teaching and preparing you with careers and opportunities that only usually a college would give you. So and that was really great, and it really taught me how to do that stuff. Plus, when I got into the media side of things, which I knew I wanted to do agriculture, and I had learned back in, I think, roughly 2021 about filming. I had never really thought about videography and filming before, but I started to get into it. I started to actually enjoy it, and so much to the point where I wanted to make a movie about our homestead. Well, that never materialized, but I wound up actually transferring that to a movie about my grandparents called Seedbed. It wound up becoming a 5-hour-long documentary style, series, and lots of different things happened there. But Seedbed is a great series. We just put out the first one. But the things that we learned here about, the drone technology and the different stuff, we started to figure out as I got into this, I started learning, okay, I kind of want to do videography. This is kind of a cool field. And I started to learn, videography actually fits in very well with agriculture. In fact, it fits in with almost anything that you want to do because the story needs to be told of what you're doing. Right. So I started to learn that. And then IATS, you guys came to me and said, well, we're wanting to start a podcast. We just got some equipment in. We just got a new room, this room actually, and we want to start a podcast. And we'd love to have students come in and learn how to do this. So I was like, that's crazy. I'm jumping on that. Right. So I came in and wound up being the only student in the class. Right. And but it taught me so well the hands-on of filming in a way that I could have never gotten it in any other way. And it was so amazing how IATS became a source for me to be right there ready with a possible career, a job, and also your own your own company, It like launched me into that. Plus I had, outside help with a film course that's called Tomorrow's Filmmakers. And if there's anybody aspiring to be a filmmaker, you've got to get this course because it's like, it's only $97 and it is well worth $1,000, So it's really a great course. So I recommend that, Tomorrow's Filmmakers. But the hands-on at IATS was really incredible to learn the elements of filming hands-on. And so I started to get into it and just found that I loved it. And so in terms of, time management with learning this class and having to do, a bunch of different stuff and the process of, managing my time between this and then schoolwork and all that, it really taught me, a lot of those elements and set me up to where now that I've graduated, I felt confident enough to jump out and say, well, I want to start my own company and because I feel confident enough to where I actually can make a go of it, And so without even planning on, I do have a plan to possibly go to college, but pay for it as I go. But without even jumping into college, I decided, you know what, I want to defer that cost. That's a lot of cost, and I want to know if what I want to do in the end, what I want to do, basically where I want to retire, is I want to be my own organic farmer. So basically an organic farmer at my place, at my own company, my own farm that sells organic produce. Right. And so I was like, well, I want to decide if this is what I really want to do. And I want to make sure I know, what the different elements about being your own, boss is. And so I said, well, let's try it with this filming company. Let's see what happens. And so out of that, Keep It Clean Media gets born and just started, I think it was maybe 6 months ago. And now I've already have 3 weddings under my belt that I've filmed. I have a documentary that's getting about ready to go. And then we're about ready to start a series called Legacy Stories, where we go to retirement homes and we go to assisted living places. And we basically say we will film a 30-minute documentary of your life, whatever you want to say. Right. And so we're really looking forward to that and just a bunch of different elements there. But it launched me into that, and I'm finding as I go, I'm loving it, and it's working out great. And so it really is an incredible thing. And most of that started with IATS.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing what you've done. I know you did some work for the local Carmel legislators here, gentlemen. So, you've taken a step forward of what you're learning, what you learned in IATS, putting it into a career mode, and the fact that you're ready to look at the future, not necessarily jump into college. I mean, we're very, as you know, very oriented on a career path of making sure students understand that you have options. You can go to college, you can go to career, but we want to make sure you're prepared for either pathway. Yeah. So you've been a fine example of following that process. So when you're looking at our future IATS kids that are coming, what are some advice that you would give to them, or even the kids that are currently here? What advice would you give them to make sure that they're making IATS the best, taking advantage of that time? Absolutely.
So I would say the first piece of advice that I would give is you are never too young to work. This world loves to say, oh, you're too young to work. We've got labor law limits, all that stuff. And I'm not talking about going into a career or anything at the age of 5 or whatever. I'm not talking about that or working. But I'm talking about finding what you love, finding your passion. And that's very important. Finding what you're passionate about, what makes you want to do something. I want to do this. Find that, and then while you're waiting to graduate, while you're waiting to get old enough to be able to go work, do everything you possibly can to become the best at that thing that you want to do while you're young. Whether that, if you want to be a farmer, look up YouTube videos on how to farm. There are tons of people that love to share advice on those things. I've learned so much about that through YouTube, and just constant, when I have free time, I was like, okay, I want to learn something new. Or if it's filmmaking, find a film course or somebody that's teaching that, and learn, and then do it yourself. Do whatever you can yourself. If you have 1/8 of an acre. We turned our 1/8 of an acre into a basically a mini homestead, and we incorporated vegetables and rabbits because I was interested in it. Mm-hmm. And we were like, we want to do what we can here. And so at the age of, 9, I knew I wanted to be a horticulturalist. So I kept moving on to be, doing apple projects, or what I call the apple project, and then doing, just as much as I possibly can, as young as I am, while you have the time and while you have the ability to really focus on it, instead of just waiting till college to try and figure it out. It's so much better if you try to figure out that soon. So that's the first piece of advice. The second piece of advice I would say is literally get involved with this media company. If you're a student at IATS, get involved with the media club. Miss Ann O'Brien is in charge of it. And what you learn through media and what you learn through public speaking will impact how you do everything. I would have never, I'm the most, actually, by temperament, the most introverted person you'll probably ever meet. I hate, or at least when I was young, I hated talking in front of people. Hated it. And I got involved with a drama program at my co-op, and it changed everything. And I suddenly loved to speak in front of people. Now, it took a lot of work, took a long time to get used to. So I'd say as early as you can, get involved with public speaking. IATS, you guys got FFA, and there's a lot of public speaking involvement that goes into that. Get involved with it. Here at IATS, we also have the media company. We're doing interviews like this. We want to include a lot of students. Get involved. If you don't feel confident to do an interview like this, do it anyways, because it's worth it. It's worth it getting the practice. Even if you feel like you are not ready and you don't feel like you look good or sound good, trust me, it's worth the practice. It's worth trying, and you'll never regret it. Always get involved with something in public speaking, or this media company in particular. And then I think the third thing is really just find what you're passionate about and value the fact that IATS is going to help you figure out what it is that you want to do with your life. And it's really incredible. So value this time while you're here at IATS, while you're learning these things, and work hard. Work hard, do your schoolwork, get straight A's, do what you can, and go for it.
Yeah. Well, James, I think you brought a lot to our program today. I would encourage our audience too, is if you're looking for something different educationally from a traditional standpoint, then look at us as an opportunity to explore what you want to do, what career you want to do. James is a great example of, and we got him working with us now. So we get our former students involved with our program. So I think there's a lot out there for students to hear from this program. Again, if you're interested in our program, give us a call here at IATS. Go to www.indiana.ag and look us up and find out what we're all about and join our program. So thanks, James, for spending the time with me. I always enjoy talking to you, and I continue to learn more things that you're doing, and it's outstanding. So thanks, everybody, for joining our program, and we'll see you next time on Fields and Futures.
The Fields and Futures podcast is produced by Indiana Agriculture and Technology School. With virtual, hybrid, and in-person campuses across Indiana, IATS is a tuition-free public charter school for grades 7 to 12, preparing future leaders in agriculture and technology. Special thanks to IATS communications team and our production partner, Keep It Clean Media. To learn more about IATS, visit indiana.ag. If you enjoyed today's conversation, follow us on Facebook and Instagram and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.